Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to today's, we're supposed to be a Friday Reflections, but on Saturday, the 17th of December 2022. I wasn't feeling too well yesterday, but alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and my sheikhs, I am feeling much better this evening than I was yesterday or this morning. So, inshallah, I'm going to have a crack at this and see if I can do my my reflections video a little later than usual. So today, I would like to read from this wonderful book, 50 Days, The Divine Disclosures During a Holy Sufi Seclusion by Sheikh Mohammed Hisham Kabani. This is copyright 2010. And I'm going to read from page 97. The war against the ego. It is important, both in seclusion and in reflection, to fight the four enemies of the self. As we have said, these are the nafs, the self, dunya, the worldly life, hawa, base desires, and shaitan. You have to fight these four enemies because their constant aim is to control you completely. Fafham in kunta zakiya. So understand if you are clever. You have to understand how to fight these four enemies. If Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam ate from the tree when Shaitan whispered in his ear, what hope can we have to resist these foes? Adam alayhi salam was a prophet of Allah. Yet Shaitan came and whispered a little bit. And what did he do? He went and ate from the tree. Why did he eat from the tree? Because Satan promised him, whispering, "O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of life and to a kingdom that never decays?" The tree of life and an eternal kingdom. These are things the self likes. Every one of us would like to live forever and to rule over a kingdom that never disappears. Sayyidina Sulaiman, alayhi salam, King Solomon, the richest one on earth, he said, "O my Lord, forgive me and grant me a kingdom which, if it may be, suits not another after me, for you are the granter of bounties without measure." This is in Surah Sad 38, verse 35. He was asking for a kingdom, the likes of which would never be seen again. Yet where is his kingdom today? Allah gave it to him, but it is gone. Allah said in the Holy Quran, He asked me for such a kingdom, and I gave it to him, but now it is gone. There is nothing that can last forever, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He alone is eternal. What about us? We are not even like Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam, and he was a prophet, favored by his Lord. So then, do we want to be like Qarun, of whom the Quran says, "So he, Qarun, went forth amongst his people in the pride of his worldly glitter, said those whose aim is the life of this world, oh, that we had the like of what Qarun has got, for he is truly a Lord of mighty good fortune." They said, if only we had the like of Qarun. But what happened to Qarun in the end? Then we caused the earth to swallow up him and his house, and he had not the least little party to help him against Allah, nor could he defend himself. This is in Surah Al-Qasas, the stories, which is Surah 28, verses 79 and 81. The earth swallowed him. Look at today's kings and presidents. What do they take with them when they leave this world? They die. They take nothing. In the end, the earth swallows them. Sayyidina Adam listened to Iblis and was fooled into thinking he would be granted immortality and an eternal kingdom. And thus he was cast down. But he repented. That is what is important. So you see, important thing about the ego here, the ego wants to live forever. The ego denies its reality as a temporary creature in this world. That ultimately, this body is going to pass away, this life is going to come to an end. The ego hates that. And it's interesting today with all of the developments in various technologies, and they're even trying to, come up with technologies that grant us immortality. But the only one who can live forever is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only way we can get any portion of that is if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants it to us. And it will not be in this worldly life, because we all know that this comes to an end. And it's interesting that Shaykh Hisham here mentions about Qarun. And he went forth amongst his people in the pride of his worldly glitter. And, people were saying, and look at what Qarun has got, for he's truly a lord of mighty good fortune. And you look today how people are in the world. Do people admire pious people? Do people admire knowledgeable people just for the benefits of their knowledge? Now, of course, some people do. But the majority of people, they don't admire people for their piety. They don't admire people for their knowledge or their wisdom. They admire people for their wealth. But where is that wealth going to get us in the end? We all need a portion of that to get through this life. It is a resource that we all need to have a share of, because it's the way we pay our way in this earth. But if that is the only thing that we have, the only thing that defines us in this world, the only thing that we have achieved, what have we really achieved? What can we possibly take with us when we die? Allah wants us to repent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows we are weak, but he wants us to repent. Anytime you repent, Allah forgives you. The companions used to come to the Prophet ﷺ when they did something with which the Prophet ﷺ was displeased. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to the Prophet ﷺ? Of their goods, take alms. That's so you might as purify and sanctify them, and pray on their behalf. Verily, your prayers are a source of tranquility for them. And Allah is the one who hears and knows. They came to the Prophet ﷺ after they committed a major wrong. In fact, this verse was revealed concerning 3 companions who disobeyed the order to go in the way of Allah after the Prophet ﷺ returned to Medina. They came to him seeking forgiveness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, never mind, they are coming to repent. Take their sadaqah, their charity, to clean them, and then pray for them. Your salah is going to be a source of tranquility for them. And what did the Prophet ﷺ do? He took 1/3 of their wealth. For those 3 that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was referring to in this verse, he took not 1/10 or 1/5, but 1/3 of their wealth. Today they come and say, we did something wrong, and they make sadaqah of $5 or $10. The Prophet ﷺ said to those 3, How much wealth do you have? Then he took a third of it in order to cleanse them. SubhanAllah, that's food for thought in today's world. The strongest attachment human beings have to dunya is their longing for a kingdom that never perishes. That means attachment to wealth, and specifically money. The Prophet ﷺ broke that attachment by taking a third of their wealth. Then Allah ordered him, then pray on them. It means give them your prayers. Surely your prayer is going to be a source of tranquility for them. They will feel at ease, at peace. They will be forgiven. Are we looking for that peace today? No. No one cares. We hear, but we are not acting as advised. It goes in one ear and out of the other. There are a few that listen and obey, but only a few. Now, how many of us are looking for the prayers of the Prophet ﷺ, or the prayers of people who were very pious in this time? How many people value that? How many people are looking for peace? How many people think peace is bought with money? And maybe for a time you can buy a temporary enjoyment in this world. You can buy a nice holiday somewhere. But ultimately, that all comes to an end. Distractions of dunya. When you are in dunya, dunya being this world, Shaitan and his minions come to you with all their marshaled forces to make sure you continue chasing this world's distractions. Dunya, like a dog running after a bone, never stopping by day or by night. All of your concern is for this dunya. There is nothing else between your two eyes. They keep you so busy with the world that you cannot fulfill your prayers, nor you can do your assigned recitations all right, nor can you do anything that you are assigned by your sheikh. Your only concern is running after that bone. They decorate this dunya with ornaments to distract you from your true goal. Fair in the eyes of men is the love of things they covet, women and sons, heaped up hoards of gold and silver, horses branded for blood and excellence, and wealth of cattle and well-tilled land. Such are the possessions of this world's life. But in nearness to Allah is the best of goals to return to. Fair in the eyes of men is the love of the things they covet, women and sons, heaped up hoards of gold and silver, horses branded for blood and excellence, and a wealth of cattle and well-tilled land. Such are the possessions of this world's life. But in nearness to Allah is the best of goals to return to. Surah Al-Imran, Surah 3, Ayah 14. Shaitan and the minions of Shaitan. How do they catch your eye? With hub ash-shahawat, the love of every sort of base desire. Hub ash-shahawat, the love of every sort of base desire. Shaitan tantalizes you with every kind of low desire Nowhere is this more evident than in places like Las Vegas, which Shaitan and his friends have decorated with all kinds of attractions, putting men and women in front of you in sexually suggestive or explicit ways. Fair in the eyes of men is the love of the things they covet. That verse refers to loving all kinds of desires, but especially the desire for women. Shaitan and his followers know this. The videos they show on television always feature women, rarely men. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned children. He mentioned gold and silver, and he mentioned horses. Even today, horses are the most expensive objects of desire, more valuable even than diamonds. There are horses sold for $20 million or more today. There are horses that are more expensive than houses. The rich of this world, particularly the princes and other wealthy people of the Gulf, purchase these horses and keep them. Why? It is yet another proof of the continuing relevance of the Holy Quran, whose passages are as true today as they have ever been. So you see, Shaitan distracts us with all of this finery of this world, things which ultimately will give us a bit of passing pleasure. But do they give us peace? Do they give us tranquility? Do they give us hope for a better hereafter? You think horses are sold for 20 million or more today? 20 million pounds to buy an animal. Okay, horses are beautiful, beautiful animal. Imagine what you could do with 20 million pounds to help the people who recently lost their homes in West Java as a result of that terrible earthquake. Probably a fraction of that 20 million pounds would rehouse them. £20 million would probably rehouse them really well. The price of one expensive horse. Declare war on your enemy. We see from this that we have an enemy. We must declare war on him. However, we must know that our enemy is not going to take that lightly. Rather, he is going to respond with all of his forces against us. If you bomb him, he retaliates with 10 bombs. If you fight him with something, he fights you with something 100 times stronger. So if you declare war against the attractions of Shaitan, then you declare war against him and his followers. They are going to declare war against you. That is why Khalwa, seclusion, is important. In seclusion, you can focus all of your energy on fighting Shaitan and winning that war. But imagine how much you are going to suffer from Iblis and his supporters. He is going to bombard you with every weapon imaginable. In the stories of the saints of old, snakes used to come to them during their Khalwa. So I was always looking for a snake. I did not see one, but I was constantly hearing the sound in the wall, like the rattle of a viper. I could not sleep because of this sound. I would turn my head listening, but I did not want to move. However, after a while, it would go away. When I stopped paying attention to it, it faded away. Once a wali was asked, "Are you doing your dhikr, reciting Allah, Allah?" "Why?" he replied. "Have I forgotten him? Why would I need to remember him? If I am with him in every moment of my life, how could I forget him?" When we concentrate on our awrad, when we keep our focus on the Shaykh and through him on the Prophet ﷺ, then nothing can faze us. This is how we prevail in the war against Shaitan. Shaitan does not accept defeat. Understand that your enemy does not accept hazima, defeat. Understand that you must kill him, or he will kill you. Either you die or they die. You must choose. This is important because when you realize that you are going to die if you lose, you will fight to the end with all your might. You will not pause or relent because you know that you will be destroyed if you do. This was the attitude I adopted during my seclusion. Right from day one, I decided that there was no other alternative. It was total war, a fight to the death. It was not a war of guns and bombs, but a war of thoughts and inspirations. Victory came from always being in the presence of my sheikh. If you are in the company of the sheikh in every moment, you are safe. If for a blink of an eye you lose that connection, your enemy will defeat you. Remember, he is the one who said, Iblis said, "Oh my Lord, because you have put me in the wrong, I will make wrong fair seeming to them on the earth, and I will put them all in the wrong, except your servants among them, sincere and purified by your grace." And Allah said, "For over my servants, no authority shall you have, except such as put themselves in the wrong and follow you." Note that he is accepting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is speaking with him. He said, "I'm going to misguide them, but not those who are sincere to you." Look at the negotiation. Iblis is doing his job, the job Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned him to do. He sacrificed himself for the sake of the ummah, and he is cursed, and he accepted that curse. And on Judgment Day, he is going to say, "Give me my reward." When you go deep into any verse of the Quran, your mind will be shattered into dust. How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answer him? He said, "You have no control over my sincere servants." This is a very good point and one that's worth remembering. You always put your trust in Allah. Always put your trust in Allah. Always put your trust in the Prophet Muhammad and in the awliya Allah. And shaitan has no control over you. Shaitan may try, his minions may try, but they will have no control over you. But the only way that's going to be is if you really put your trust in Allah. Why is Allah negotiating with Iblis? This is from the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed him, and he is cursed. But he did what he had to do by Allah's will. Allah willed Iblis not to obey him. Allah ordered him to make sajda, but Allah's will was for him not to make sajda. Will and order, order and will. Understand if you are clever. So Iblis was ordered to make sajda. He did not. All of the angels did, but not him. Allah wanted him to take responsibility for testing human beings, to find out their qualities. Are they good or not? Thus, if you declare war against Iblis, know that it is going to be a destructive war, an atomic war, and it is going to be either you or him. If you win, he will certainly continue to come against you until Judgment Day, but his power will be diminished. He will cry. One day, Grand Sheikh told me the story of his seclusion with Maulana Sheikh Nazim. They were alone together for 1 year in Medina al-Munawwar, facing the dome of the Prophet ﷺ. Maulana Grand Sheikh brought 2 big plywood boards and covered the 2 windows of their room. They had no light, day or night. They used their watches to determine when it was time for prayer. Excuse me. Maulana Sheikh Nazim later told me that during that whole year, Maulana Grand Sheikh was making dua, invocation for 2 hours each morning without stopping. He would begin at 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and each day he would recite a different dua than the day before. Supplications were coming out of his heart like water from a fountain, and the energies of these prayers would shake the room. Grand Sheikh said, when I was making dua, I was holding Allah's throne and asking for power for the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. When that tajalli comes on you in seclusion, you will feel you are flying and no one can stop you. It is like a laser with which you can move high mountains. Grand Sheikh told me that as Maghrib time approached at the end of that year, for seclusions always end by Maghrib, there came the sound of wailing from outside the door. He could hear a voice crying and thousands of others crying behind that one. I was in the room with Sheikh Nazim and I was hearing those lamentations, and the one that was crying was wailing. Those two are lost from our control forever. Grand Sheikh immediately realized that the one so lamenting was none other than Shaitan, and those wailing behind him were his minions. I opened the door quickly, wanting to catch him by his neck, Grand Sheikh recalled. But as soon as I made a move, they stopped me, for they knew that I was going to finish them. They stopped me. He will remain free until Judgment Day. It is his job, and he will be paid for it. However, he knew that we were beyond his control. How to win the war against Shaitan? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already shown us the outlines of that strategy by revealing to us the Sharia. He told us what is good and what is bad, and he has commanded us to pursue the former and avoid the latter. He has taught us the ways of piety and their methods. He has given us 500 obligations, and we must follow, and he has shown us 800 forbiddens that we must avoid. He has informed us that our egos will try to use these 800 forbidden things against us, to ensnare and enslave us. And he has revealed that our defense against these weapons of the ego lies in our performance of the 500 obligations. It is for this reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired the self with the knowledge of good and evil, saying, truly he succeeds that purifies it. This is in Surah Ash-Shams 91:9. The one who succeeds is the one who does good, and the one who fails is the one who does evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, and its enlightenment as to its wrong and its right. This is also in Surah Ash-Shams 91:8. As we have mentioned, you must come up with a strategy for combating devils if you are to survive in seclusion. If you succeed, you will master the strategy required to combat the lower self. The Prophet ﷺ said, war is strategy. This is true of the greatest war, the war against our egos. It is not only strategy, but stratagems, tricks. Either you must trick your ego, or your ego will trick you. You must know that you declared war on your ego when you first took initiation with the Sheikh. At the same time, it declared war on you. A constant battle has been going on ever since. It is a war based on trickery and deceit. Your ego comes to you and makes you feel happy for being so pious, for doing your awrad and performing your prayers. It leads you to believe that you are someone important. You must guard against that. Now, this is a very important point. I mean, I've seen this with people. I've seen this. We have to be careful that we don't, when we're doing our prayers and stuff, think that we're better than anyone else as a result. We're not. We're simple human beings. If we're doing our duties, alhamdulillah, we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. But it doesn't mean that we're better than anybody else. But if you're not careful, your ego will trick you. I know one sheikh, may Allah bless him, who sometimes stops when he's in the middle of making zikr. I asked him why he stops. He said, that is when I feel happiness doing dhikr. That is where my ego is tricking me. I feel like I am proud of what my ego is telling me. Some people are happy and satisfied with what they have achieved. That is wrong. That is why in the Naqshbandi way, the sheikhs do not take the veils of their students until the very end. However, other tariqas remove the veil from the eyes of their followers, and they immediately begin to see. That is when the ego tricks you. It says, oh, now you can see. Now you are something. There are 70,000 veils between you and the Prophet ﷺ. The sheikhs of the Naqshbandi begin removing the thin veils from the side of the Prophet ﷺ first, until all that is left is the last thick veil on the side of the student. Once permission comes to remove that veil, the student immediately finds himself in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. The other tariqas reverse this process. They begin by first removing the thick veil on the side of the student, then strip away the successive veils between the student and the Prophet ﷺ. The danger with this method is that the student will become satisfied prematurely before reaching the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. Even in the Naqshbandi tariqah, the student may reach a level where they can experience true sight. When they do, shaitan comes to trick them through their ego, and they may become satisfied with that station. Seclusion requires the support of the shaykh. Until you experience this yourself, you can never fully understand and appreciate the experiences of those who have completed seclusions. You may read what Grand Sheikh related about Maulana Sheikh Nazim's seclusion, but you cannot really understand it until you yourself become an expert. It is the same medicine. You may hear about a medical procedure, but you cannot truly understand it until you become a doctor. To become a doctor, you must complete a residency. That is to say, you must practice. Until you enter seclusion yourself, until you taste its difficulties, you will never be able to understand what the Sheikh is describing when he speaks about what's his own seclusion. This is true of tariqah in general. You cannot understand the way until you are in it. Those who are not in tariqah do not understand, nor can they understand, that it is primarily a path of difficulties. The Sheikh does not send you candy. He does not give you what you like. He gives you difficulties in order to test you and to train you. If you try to perform seclusion without permission from the Sheikh, or if you do so after asking the Sheikh for permission instead of being ordered to do so by him, all you are really doing is meditating. Seclusion is not meditation. Sometimes when you meditate, you feel happy. In seclusion, you do not feel happy. You feel as though you are under constant attack. They bombard you. They throw all kinds of difficulties at you. Nor is seclusion like prayer, for even while praying, you may feel some pleasure from your worship. In seclusion, they want to cheat you. That is why they send all sorts of whisperings to your heart, bad thoughts and gossip. These come mostly during the day, from Ishraq, sun up, until Maghrib, sun down. From Maghrib to Ishraq, you feel more peaceful, and fewer bad thoughts come to your mind. During the day, however, when you are busy with all kinds of urad, the shayateen, devils from the jinn and mankind will attack you and try to stop you. At night, there is some respite from these attacks, which is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Prophet to pray and recite the Holy Quran for half the night or more. For one's personal devils are jailed and chained at night. For this reason, it is easier to perform muraqabah at night. During the day, it is better to read and do urad. That is why Maulana Sheikh Nazim told us to begin dua at 2 a.m. In seclusion, every day brings new attacks, new barrages of bad thoughts and gossips, new difficulties and new problems. These whisperings of shaitan attack the heart from every angle, with thoughts of family and children, thoughts of health and wealth, even with wrong thoughts about religion. The Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan throws every kind of weapon at the heart. While this onslaught is occurring, the awliya are watching. They look to see how you are reacting. Maulana told me, I am monitoring you day and night. You feel them watching you, checking in on you. Sometimes you even see them. A shadow may pass through the room, or you may smell a pleasant scent. These are the awliya Allah coming and going. You can feel them, but hide as much as possible if they try. But hide as much as possible they try to of their presence. The attacks waged by Shaitan and his armies against you in seclusion are like a tempest upon the sea. It is like a storm with terrible winds and huge waves, like Hurricane Katrina that drowned the city of New Orleans, sweeps everything in front of it. It is like a raging ocean that destroyed Pharaoh and his army. The ego is a coward. That is why it enlists the armies of Shaitan to attack you with all sorts of dirty, worldly thoughts, and all the devils fighting under his banner, because it is a coward. It does not come at us directly in our daily lives. There is no need, because we are already immersed in dunya, already covered with his stench. Our ego says this one is already smelly. Everyone is already running away from him or her. In seclusion, however, we try to cleanse ourselves of that stench. We begin to polish our hearts, so remove the taint of worldly life that in Allah's eyes does not amount to the weight of one mosquito's wing. When the ego sees this, it tries to drown us with the stench of the wild and evil animal characters at its command. The importance of pacing. While it is important not to relent at this spiritual combat, it is also necessary to pace yourself. You cannot fight incessantly. It will kill you. You have to give yourself a little treat. In my case, Maulana instructed me to make tea immediately after praying the Sunnat al-Wudu upon waking up. This was my candy. When you drink tea, it makes you wake up quickly and gives the self some happiness because you did something for it. So when too many bad thoughts assail you, drink tea quickly. They will diminish and you will feel more at ease. This importance of pacing, I mean, I can't comment too much on seclusion because I haven't been in seclusion as such, although I have been through certain things in my life that give me a sense of something of what the Sheikh is saying, but I don't want to comment anymore. I mean, but the importance of pacing, this is very important. I always tell people when they come on the path, whether through converting to Islam or taking their Islam more seriously, don't try to rush everything. It's like a mountain. If you try running up a mountain, you're going to come tumbling back down. You will end up further down the mountain than where you started. And you'll feel hurt all over and injured. So take things one step at a time. If you do that, eventually you will end up at the top of the mountain. But don't try to rush. And just like that, with climbing a mountain, there's all sorts of difficulties that will come your way. Tariqah is like that. But obviously it is also worth it. We don't do this for no reason. I hope you found that useful. And I give thanks to my sheikhs and the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And even though this was mostly about seclusion, there are a number of things here that the Sheikh talks about which apply to Tariqah more generally, which apply to our spiritual lives more generally. It's just within seclusion, there's much more of a focus upon them. There's much more of a focus for instance, of the enemies of Shaitan that come against you. I mean, the enemies of Shaitan, the enemies among the Shaitan that come against us, and the ego, that this is more of a focus during seclusion because you are so focused in what you're doing. Whereas in our normal day-to-day lives, we're immersed in the dunya, and we take some time out to pray and make our zikr and salawat, and then we go straight back to the dunya. Whereas when a sheikh goes into seclusion, there is no dunya. They are in seclusion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the sheikhs. So it's obviously more focused and more intense. But nonetheless, I mean, anybody who takes on practicing Islam, they're going to have the shaitan come against them if they do it sincerely from the heart, to whatever degree. Anyone who takes up tariqah especially and strives to do their prayers and their awrad daily, the shaitan will come against you. Your ego will come against you. So even though that's not seclusion, there's something, that is similar in that respect. I heard before that Sheikh Nazim, he stopped sending people into seclusion, except he sent Sheikh Hisham. But because people in our time generally can't cope with it. That's something to think about as well. But don't despair of the mercy of Allah. You don't have to go into seclusion in order to be blessed, to be forgiven by Allah. You need to work on your sincerity in your heart, on doing your prayers, on remembering Allah. When you make mistakes, to ask Allah for forgiveness, trusting in Allah, trusting in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and trusting in your sheikhs. May Allah bless you all. Those who are in the UK, have a very good and blessed evening. And wherever you are around the world, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all. I hope to see you on Monday for my Sufi meditation and zikr. That will be online because the university chaplaincy is closed until January now. But I should be doing this online, inshallah, and hope to see you then.